It's out now.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Dakota's out.
Start cheering now.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's get this over with.
All right, we hear it. They hear it. Should be good.
Yep. Okay.
wait. Oh, yeah, I'm ready.
He's ready. I'm ready. You know what's you know what are some good internet videos? The Mortal Kombat Mythology Sub-Zero Blight Club season. I was just like, because that account, I just started watching it again. I'm like, God, this is good. It's so much fun.
It was an interesting time.
Yep, that's a good time.
Funny.
All right, I'm ready. Mike, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. You know what? Cameras. That's what I was forgetting. There we go. All right. Starting in 5, 4, 3.
Hey, you guys hear me? Start cheering now. Yeah, let's get this over with. Yeah.
Woof woof. Hi, I'm Mike Minotti, and I'm going to do a podcast with a broken freaking wrist.
Hi, I'm Jeff Grubb, and I'm a Nintendog.
And we are the last of the Nintendogs.
Snap, 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 snap. That's wrist breaking.
Today, Square Enix has problems. Does Nintendo have the solutions? And Furukawa says that games are going to become longer and more complex to make. Jeff, how are you doing?
Yeah. I'm exhausted. I'm stretched too thin. But video games are good, and I'm making do. It's like really up and down right now, where it's like, man, I see all the stuff I got to get done before Summer Game Fest and the live show mostly. And then like something goes my way with that stuff, and it's like, oh, okay, this is great. This is fantastic. So
Sure.
Getting the wins where I can get them.
It's all going to come together.
Yep, feeling good about it.
It's all going to be great.
Right now, we're trying to get John Carpenter to come. We're all tweeting at John Carpenter, and I'm like, that'd be
really?
great. Yeah.
I like the thing.
Yeah, because it's really good.
I saw it last year for the first time ever. You think what do people like that do when someone just goes, "Hey, I like the thing"?
They probably,
yes.
if I were him, I'd just be like, thank you.
That's probably the interaction they would want the most. It's just the person saying, "I like blank," and then leaving them alone for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, sure, that's probably right. I think so.
Yeah. I had like 2 appointments today for like the wrist, and then something for that root canal I had before, and it's like, ugh. And I'm leaving on Thursday for a long trip, so that's always just like, a whole thing. And I'm going to be like gone for a good while. I come back for a week, then I'm going to be gone again for Summer Game Fest. And it's like I wish they were just slightly closer together. So like if it was like 3 days, I could justify maybe somehow staying in LA. But it's like a week. I'm like, I just can't stay in LA and do nothing.
Shut
for a
the
week
fuck
by
up! There's new
myself.
Nintendo Switch Online games. All right, it is for the Game Boy, the Nintendo DMG system. Dot Matrix Gaming. Mike, do you want to hazard a guess? I guess.
Is it Donkey Kong 94 time?
It's not Donkey Kong 94. Instead, it is Alleyway,
What?
Baseball,
Oh no.
and Super Mario Land.
Oh, we got Super Mario Land 1.
Yeah, that's something.
I've been really wanting that one just for the soundtrack. I could just like the game, whatever. That soundtrack is so good.
Yes,
That's nice.
the music rules.
Okay.
And, I know people like Alleyway.
Which one's Alleyway?
It's like the breakout game, right?
You mean like Arkanoid?
Like Arkanoid, yeah, totally. And then baseball, they had those sports games on the Game Boy where it was just like baseball, football. I had football, I didn't have baseball.
Right. Yeah, back when there were so few games, back when Nintendo was so dominant, they could just release a game for their consoles called baseball.
Right,
It's like,
exactly.
that's the baseball game.
Yeah, so let's see. 3 classic games are now available to play on Nintendo Switch Online. So there you go. Play them now.
Oh, Japan got the frog for whom the bell tolls. Apparently.
Yes, Japan got the frog from the bell tolls. If people don't know, that is basically the precursor to Link's Awakening. It's from the Link's Awakening team. In fact, a character from that game shows up in Link's Awakening.
Yep. Well, hey, that's great. I'm always glad to get new at NSO. Super Mario Land's good. There's a part of me, it's like, I bet they don't do Donkey Kong 94 yet. We're still too close to the Mario vs. Donkey Kong remake release or something like that. I always like getting new NSO games. I hope we keep getting more. I hope we get Genesis again. Like I said, it's been a big break. I hope they're not just done there.
Yeah,
There's still plenty to do.
I bet we'll still get one more Genesis drop. I think that'd be cool. Now I'm thinking, I don't know if I've ever beat Super Mario Land. I think I'll do that.
I don't know if I ever did either. It's weird because the final, there's like those shmup levels. And even the final boss is a shmup level.
Right. Yeah,
so
I think my thing with Super Mario Land is, for Super Mario Brothers, the big thing for me playing that game, other than obviously the scrolling was amazing at that time, it was the physics, like running off of a platform and having that momentum carry you forward, and that doesn't really work in Super Mario Land for Game Boy. So it felt so strange that I was like, I don't know if I like this, but
it is weird.
Whatever, it's just different now.
There's all these compromises in Mario Land 1, and then by Mario Land 2, it's like, no, we could just do it.
We figured
now.
it out. Right, exactly.
It's just Mario now.
Yeah, we sent Iwata in, and he figured it out or something.
And I think in most ways, Mario Land 2 is better, but Mario Land 1 soundtrack is better. Music is so insane in 1.
My kid goes around the house singing the Super Mario Land theme, like song, whatever, the main one. Or like maybe it's the ball music when you get the ball superpower, whatever. It's really good.
Well, the ball one in that, okay, yeah. Yeah, the main like Egypt themed one. Good stuff.
I am going to play that game. I've decided, and then I think I'm finally going to play through all of the Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls. There's that English translation of that, and I have that on my analog pocket.
You go. Yeah, that'd be cool. I can't believe we never got. I mean, I guess I could believe we never got that. Right. There's a lot of games we didn't get back then, but like, man, would have been neat. What a good name too. The Frog for Whom the Bell Tolls.
That is good stuff.
Do you think if it was translated, would have at least been For Whom the Frog Tolls, or
they might have got clever with it? Yeah, I'm not sure.
For Who the Bell Croaks, or Who the Frog Croaks? I don't know.
Bullfrog, Bell Frog. I don't know.
Metallica fans, something like that.
Sure.
All right, Jeff. Well, that's exciting. Good start here. We got a couple other things that we are going to talk about. Are you ready, sir?
Yeah, let's do it.
So during the kind of Q&A part of the Nintendo earnings, which, things are going well over there. They're still making money. They're obviously in a transition period. They start talking about the Switch 2. And kind of like the first question in this Q&A is like an investor saying, hey, there have been many games. Like, what are you guys doing to like increase that pipeline? And like, is it going to continue being slow, or are you going to be ready for Switch 2? Furcal had an answer. It's part of it talking about how, like, a lot of other people are doing like acquisitions, and that's not necessarily our thing. But then he says, the process of game development will inevitably become longer, more complex, and more advanced. It is vital that Nintendo offers consumers new and unique experiences through game development, so we will actively invest in expanding our development resources. So there's two things here. One is that admitting, hey, games are just taking longer and they're costing more to make. This is a problem that everybody's having. Nintendo's been spared it a bit,
a smidge,
but like not a smidge. Like, again, Tears of the Kingdom still took like 6 years to make.
Imagine how long it would have taken to have all those assets for 4K, though.
Right. Well, even though exactly it'd be worse, but Tears of the Kingdom, which I'm not one of those people like this is, Breath of the Wild 1.5. Not close, but it is using a lot of those assets. It is a lot of that.
It was done to save time, yeah.
Right. Like, Majora's Mask was, using some assets from Ocarina of Time, so they were able to get that out in 2 years.
Right, yes.
And now it's like you pull those tricks, and it's still going to take 6 years. So it's like, man, how long is it going to be before we get that next, like, big console Zelda game? It could be It could be like the tail end of the Switch too. Yeah,
God, when you put it like that, yeah, it really could be. I think they get it out in about 6 years. I'm not going to be like, well, maybe we get lucky 4 or 5. 6 years seems like the right amount of time. I hope they're able to figure that out. But I mean, yeah, this is just the truth. And Nintendo put off getting into the HD world with the Wii. They're like, no, we'll let everyone else do HD and we'll get there eventually. And then they did with the Wii U, and they had a little bit of trouble there, but by then most of the best practices had been figured out. So they were able to get that stuff going pretty quickly. They had other issues during the Wii U, and now if they do have to start making 4K assets, which I honestly don't know if they're going to have to do that with the Switch too, even if it outputs at 4K when docked.
Exactly. I'm kind of like, hey, I know it outputs at 4K. Maybe you should just keep making like your 1080p games. Yeah, they
what difference
the
is 4K?
Make? That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, come on.
Yes, let's be real.
It'll
come
be
on.
good enough.
Yeah.
Most people are going to be. I know not most people. People play differently. A lot of people play handheld, and that isn't going to be 4K.
Nope.
So we should at least focus on that. And then, it gets top res on TVs. It looks nicer. That's fine. It doesn't need to look amazing just to add 2 years of development time to things.
Overall, though, I'm not too worried about Nintendo at this point getting this stuff figured out. It will take longer just because that's what happens with all these games across the board. As you pointed out, Tears of the Kingdom was an example of that. Despite all the advantages they had with that game, it still ended up being like one of the largest gaps between Zelda releases ever. Pokemon Company, though, they seem fucked. They're in the bone zone. They're donezo. This is they're gonna have so many. They have not even figured out HD, let alone like they were like the one company that couldn't figure out 3D on the goddamn 3DS. They'd have 2D games on there. Yeah, so yeah. Pokemon Company's gonna have some trouble.
Like the good news is like their games sell anyways, but there is a part of me that is curious. Like, are there people who are burnt by Scarlet and Violet, and is there going to be like any kind of like comeuppance with the next one for that? Part of me is like, probably not. They're probably going to just like showing up. People are going to get excited. There's going to be a new wave of kids. Like I know I'm going to be like as skeptical as ever,
right?
But
I mean,
think the Pokemon game's still going to
that
sell.
Dam fills up over time. I think it maybe never breaks, but I feel like they are not completely 100% immune. They're more immune than just about any other studio, and they're taking advantage of that. But boy, are they taking all the slack everyone is giving them, and eventually, it feels like even that slack is going to give way eventually. But maybe it's not there yet.
So, and the other part of it is like, so they're going to combat this by continuing to actively invest in expanding our development resources. So, not just every company can just bring in more people and open new studios. Nintendo has a better chance of that than other people because a lot of people want to work at Nintendo. If you're a big game developer in Japan, that's probably one of the jobs.
Big publisher in Japan, you're probably like, oh, we'll make a game for you, Nintendo. We're Bandai Namco. We'll make 2 games for you.
Right, exactly. So they can do things like that. And they can partner with people they partnered with before, like Sega or Platinum, all sorts of people. But the other thing that they can do is, they say like, we don't really, maybe you're going to do acquisitions like other people. And that's mostly right. Next Level is an exception.
Right.
But they usually work with just studios for so long that you think they're part of
Nintendo, intelligent systems. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, before they got closed down, Alpha Dream, HAL, yes. What's the recent one that closed down? Because the game didn't sell.
Oh, right. I don't remember the name. I'm talking about.
Fair enough. Yep.
But yeah, so they'll continue to do that. So I guess I'm glad to. It scares me a bit to hear like, oh gosh, even Nintendo's going to be facing this problem, but at least they are aware of it. They seem to be thinking about it.
Right.
And hey, look, if a lull had to happen, we are in a lull, at least in terms of like first party Nintendo games. This is the time to do it. You don't want that lull this time next year presumably when a Switch 2 is out. That would be devastating.
Right. There's always the risk, you have someone like Furukawa in charge and, they're not necessarily someone that came up from the game development side. And so maybe when they were speaking to this, it's like, they're like, no, we're going to apply that Nintendo magic. There's nothing to be worried about. Being aware of the problem is definitely like the first step. And I think they've done a lot to mitigate it. So I'm hopeful that Nintendo can keep doing things mostly the Nintendo way. And we keep getting the games the way we've been getting them. Mike, I think we now have been doing this show or varieties of our podcast, not this one, but our varieties of our podcast for so long that we go back to like around the time the Switch was going to launch, and we're like, hey, we hope we get a variety of games still. There was a lot of stuff that they could do on 3DS that they might not be able to do on Switch.
Concerns. Yeah,
it's like they mostly delivered on that. Maybe not as much as I 100% would have wanted, but more than I feared could have happened in a world where there was no dedicated handheld anymore. So
yeah, like some of these WarioWare games, those would have been 3DS games. Like
yes.
Even like the Bayonetta Origins thing, right? Like that would have been the handheld spin-off. Instead, we just got that on Switch. I think we mostly did still get that stuff. It felt nice.
Yep. So as long as they have that breadth of the different tiers of games that they can make and fill in some gaps, when things start taking a little bit longer, it probably won't hurt as much as it hurts some other companies.
Other big thing here, Square Enix kind of did its financials recently, and it's a bit of a mess. They're kind of talking actively about this reboot that they're working on, the reawakening of Square Enix. It's got a subtitle.
It's the reboot and awakening of Square Enix.
Yes. So there's a lot going on there. There's multiple things they're talking about with this. One is like refocusing on kind of its bigger games. and also no more console exclusives. And like when Jeff, we're getting close to again the Switch 2 era, and I really do wonder like what is Square Enix's relationship with the Switch 2 going to be like? Because Square Enix and the Switch 1, I think, is a big mixed bag.
Yeah.
Like, they would release games on there, but it often would be those smaller games, like a Diofield Chronicles, right? Or Valkyrie something. Or even, like, good ones like Octopath Traveler 2. But, with, like, the big new Final Fantasy game happen, or even, like, the Pixel remasters took forever to come to Switch for some reason.
Yeah, that was right. Weird.
Right, and like even like like Final Fantasy 15. Here's the pocket version of that, and it looks kind of hideous. There's never any hope, of course, of getting 16 or the 7 remakes or anything on there. So again, like I wonder how that is going to look different on a Switch 2. I wonder if there's going to be an effort to get maybe some of these other games that didn't make it on there before, and if going forward they like really think about things like, hey, whatever Final Fantasy 17 is. Like, yeah, that's going to be on PlayStation and PC and Xbox. It should be on Switch 2 right away also.
Yeah, and I think that's the answer here is, you kind of have to know the genre you're working in, and then you have to like look at the landscape and do what's best for it. And if I'm someone in charge of making JRPGs, I don't see how I can skip the Switch in any way. It's not like Resident Evil, where, hey, it would be nice to have these new Resident Evil games on Switch. I'm not really expecting that. Maybe they've launched some of those as like cloud-based games, whatever. But it would be nice to have those like native on the Switch. But I get it. JRPGs are not that. They're not like the kind of thing. Well, I'll go get the PlayStation for the Resident Evil. I think JRPGs are like, there's tons of these on the Switch, and that's my home for that stuff, and that's where I want to be playing them. And I don't really think that they can afford to miss out on the Nintendo boat next time.
There was a time when the PlayStation was really heavily associated with JRPGs and just RPGs, and even like Final Fantasy. I think that's why at first releasing Final Fantasy games exclusively on PlayStation seemed to make sense. But like in 2024, I don't know like what the percentage is of a PlayStation owner that feels really strongly about Final Fantasy. It's not like it was like when Final Fantasy X came out for the PS2. And Final Fantasy was so synonymous with just the PlayStation brand that it was the biggest game released for that console at that time. Things like that and Metal Gear Solid 2, which, all third party, but may as well have been first party exclusives then. Even though, like, I think they wanted to kind of recapture that with Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake. And it never really felt like that. It still just felt like Square Enix games, and for some reason, they are only on this console. Yep.
Yeah, something has changed in the world where that is not really... We don't feel that anymore. It felt nothing like when Final Fantasy VII came to PlayStation, let alone the PlayStation 2 era of 10 and making such a big deal out of that. So yeah, and I think they've recognized that. Clearly, that's what they're saying, and they're moving backward from that. I just... does that mean they have to scale back Final Fantasy? I think they're right. They have to, if that's what it takes to get it on Switch 2, right?
Yeah, but you can scale back. Like, hey, maybe Final Fantasy's kind of looked a specific sort of realistic anime way. I think you would put it for quite a while now. Maybe if you could kind of stylize that up a smidge, you can kind of get away with that. Having it on Switch. And hey, look, if I know I'm normally a frame rate snob, if the Switch 2 version is 30 FPS,
sure,
and that's fine for again the portable version. Like that was the compromise I had with Dragon Quest 11, right? Like I wanted to play that on Switch. I knew on PS4 it would be 60, on Switch it'd be 30. I was like, that's fine. I just want to play it on my Switch. I can deal with that. That's kind of the other thing too. It's like it's not just Final Fantasy. There is a Dragon Quest 12 coming out. There is a Kingdom Hearts 4 coming out. I think if you really, again, want those things to have a good shot, having Switch 2 versions of those would be really useful. That might be an easier ask for Dragon Quest 12 because, again, those games don't usually scale as ridiculously as the Kingdom Hearts does. And by the way, no cloud versions of Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts wasn't able to take advantage of Switch at all. We had cloud versions of all the other games, even like the PS2 like remaster. So that was weird.
That's nuts. That
like
just feels so strange. Right. Of course.
And then like the mediocre rhythm game, Memory of Melody or Melody of Memory. I don't know.
Mommy.
Mommy. So, and like before, like they would make like, they weren't numbered, but they were mainline Kingdom Hearts games for Game Boy Advance, for the DS, for the 3DS, right? Relatively important things. We didn't really have that for the Switch this time. Of course, part of it is because they realized that strategy was making it so that making an actual numbered Kingdom Hearts that would really sell well was taking forever. So I don't blame them for switching that strategy, but they kind of leave Nintendo high and dry, which is, again, a platform that I think they need to be on with the Mickey Mouse RPG game.
All right, I got a question for you. So one of the other things they talked about when they were explaining all this is, okay, yeah, we're going to put everything out everywhere. And also, we're going to look back towards our library of IP to bring games forward. I'm looking at some Super Nintendo Square Enix games. Give me no way, likely, and definitely, like that sort of rating scale as I read these. Tell me like how likely you think these are to happen.
Okay.
I'm going to start with just something pretty safe, I think. Let's go with... never mind. I'm going to go with this one. Bahamut Lagoon.
I thought you'd go Bahamut Lagoon, actually. So he's going to bring up Bahamut Lagoon. No.
All right. Breath of Fire.
What were my options again? Very unlikely.
You can do your own scale. We get it. Breath of Fire.
Well, Breath of Fire is Capcom.
Oh, okay. Well, then Google's lying to me. I don't know what's going on here. All right.
Google's a fucking liar, but also no.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Are they illusions of Gaia or illusions of time?
Illusions of Gaia is that? No, that was Quintet.
Okay. All right. So this list is completely broken then. All right. Front Mission.
Okay. Yeah. They did all those remakes recently of Front Mission, which I think is maybe counting it as part of the small games we don't really want to do anymore. It's maybe they do another Front Mission.
Secret of Evermore.
I found out the problem. So Square Enix did publish Breath of Fire for the SNES in the USA. Interesting.
Weird.
Secret of Evermore. No way. So that was like Square Enix is like, oh, we're gonna have a Western studio make a game for West. It's basically their Star Tropics. Not a bad game. It's a weird game. It plays like Secret of Mana. It's not like a Mana game or anything. There's something to that, but there's never been another one of those.
All right, let's see. Well, kind of had this recently, but ActRaiser.
ActRaiser, again, that was Quintet. Square Enix might have published that.
Okay,
I don't think there's anything else to do with ActRaiser.
All right, your favorite, Terranigma.
They should. I mean, look, what they should do is just like do like an HD 2D version of the Quintet trilogy, which was Terranigma, Illusion of Gaia, and the third one Soul Blazer. So those three games, that'd be great. And then ActRaiser was also them, but it was kind of a different thing.
And then let's see if there's anything else here.
Well, there's Chrono Trigger.
Well, yeah, right, that's the one I was saving. Right, okay. Chrono Trigger.
Look, you got to do something at this point. If if your goal
isn't that what they're talking? Isn't that what they're talking about?
What I mean, to be honest, Jeff. The only two things I can actually think they are really talking, because if you don't want to make small games anymore, but you want to go back to the past to pull some things out, the only two things I think that could really make an impact are Chrono and Parasite Eve.
Parasite Eve, and even Parasite Eve is questionable.
It's a bit questionable. Maybe there's something you can do there, but otherwise, I'm like, well, then if you're talking about how you don't want to take risks on these small games, like everything else that is not being actively worked on, that's kind of not Final Fantasy or Dragon Quest. Like, unfortunately, it's been left dormant for so long. It was only ever so big at one point anyways. I just don't, like what else are we really talking about here? Like, they did Xenogears. Like, hey, maybe you should do something with that. Work with Nintendo and Monolith Soft to finally do a remaster of that, finally maybe finish that game, right? That's the game that's a kind of weird rushed ending because they ran out of development time. Xenogears, sure, do something there. I don't think they're making a new Brave Fencer Musashi.
Right.
Or Rings of Fate.
People in chat are saying Vagrant Story. I think I would like that. I think they could make that work. But what we're talking about is like, okay, so that's like the difference of a few degrees versus the games that they were releasing that had no name recognition at all. Vagrant Story definitely will be the kind of thing where it will get the people who are really tapped in excited, and that's something it's worth looking at. But that's also not even like Parasite Eve in terms of name recognition.
Right. And even like I say Parasite Eve and Chrono Trigger, there's a pretty big gap between Chrono Trigger and Parasite Eve. If we're not talking about Chrono Trigger, what are we talking about here? And like, yeah, oh, it's hard to match that. Then so what? Then you make a Chrono Cross and you make something that's still interesting and good and sells well, right?
Yep.
Like, give it your best bet.
I'm just like gonna search just Enix. Like, does Enix have anything that like we're not thinking of?
Like the other Enix things. I always kind of forget what else
Enix did. Who was Rad? That was Rad Racer was Square, right? Yeah.
Rad Racer was in fact Square for sure. Yeah, so that was kind of their racing. That was like their answer to Outrun, actually. Back in the day. Oh, so like, okay, so like Enix published ActRaiser and Illusion Guys, and that's what it is.
That makes sense.
That's what it is. Star Ocean has been Enix and Square Enix, and they like always try with Star Ocean.
Yep.
And basically, still everyone's like, yeah, 2 was good. It's been like 6 now.
Tactics Ogre, is that one that we mentioned? I can't remember if I mentioned that.
No, we didn't mention it, but it's the
same thing.
Just make Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep. Totally.
You know?
And okay, and to be clear, that's what I expect from this. Really, is a lot more Final Fantasy. And I hope that gives them like the freedom to try a bunch of stuff that looks very different, not having to always force things to be the most expensive version of Final Fantasy. And that they have a couple options there. And then a couple of these other things, maybe they go as deep as a Vagrant story. I don't think they go much deeper.
Yeah, like maybe. Again, like that's not really, at least I'm pretty sure it was only ever that one game. So it's not like it's some franchise. And
no.
Like, I don't even know what you do. Because like part of the appeal for that game to me is that, wow, that game like knew how to look good as a PlayStation game.
Yeah, I think you go for, instead of HD 2D, somehow you just call it HD 3D and you do some sort of similar like restyling of that game, but keep most of what it looks like intact.
Now, here's an interesting question, though. Do they want to make a new version of the Japanese-only PlayStation 1 racing game Racing Lagoon to ride the wave of hype around PS1 racing series when the new Ridge Racer comes out? I'm sorry, were you not ready to confirm that yet?
Well, I'm not ready, but it's an interesting hypothetical, Mike. Definitely. I think we're due for that wave to crest. Absolutely.
That Racing Lagoon wave.
The Racing Lagoon wave, yes.
Fantastic. Good to know. But seriously, it's like, what are we doing if we don't get a new Chrono eventually?
Okay. So,
or at least a remake. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you do want that, right? Like I don't think any of the Chrono Trigger fans are like, no, please don't touch that series anymore. It's too sick. No. It's so sick, or we don't want more. I think everyone's like, that
can't hurt it.
Right. Chrono Trigger is like, it's unassailable. Right.
Right. Like, again, we already had Chrono Cross, and like, people have mixed feelings on Chrono Cross. Did nothing to Chrono Trigger. People still constantly bring up Chrono Trigger as like one of the best RPGs, one of the best Super Nintendo games, one of the best games. It's an incredible legacy, and like you're intimidated by it. Oh well, it's your job.
Yep.
Like, give it your best shot.
Figure it out. Yes.
That's why I always hate when like people use that excuse of like halfway through. It's like, well, why bother? I was like, because you're not a coward. I don't know.
Yep. Just believe in yourself. You have these things. Just see through. Just do it.
I believe in you. You can do it. Make the video games I want.
And then they should maybe work with Yoko Taro again. Make that happen.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing is where the heck is the next Nier?
Right.
Like if like that's one of the things. Like, hey, why did Yoko Taro spend so much time on some of these mobile games? And the remake of Nier
got bills to pay.
For the back, brother. That's why.
Yeah.
That's why Yoko Taro's in mobile games.
Yep.
Yeah, I think they really need a game that is, if not literally called it, a Nier Automata 2, and I think 2B will return.
Yep, and I think it would just scope it appropriately so that you it's not so insane in terms of expectations, but but believe that it can do better than the last one because it would. It's built up such this cult following. It would totally pay off.
There would be immense interest in that.
Oh well.
All right, Jeff, we just figured out Square Enix's problems.
You're welcome. Cut the check.
Jan Ochoa.
As Jan Ochoa would tell you.
Well, we take a little breaky break. No, I'm really channeling Jan. We'll take a breaky break. We'll come back. I think we got some super chats to read.
All right.
Break time.
All right, I'm ready to go.
I'm good. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Cool. And we are back. Jeff, I think we got some super chats. I would love for you to read them to me, please.
I'm looking right at him. Let me start here with Tyler James Bay, who says, Game Mess meetup in Bussy, Iowa, when? Well, you know how we can't wait to get into the Bussy, but I'll have to make some time for it. Yeah, the Nintendogs.
I didn't want to say it. I didn't want to say it. I wanted to keep it between us.
I put it on Threads, so the Threads folks know about my send.
Threads exclusive content in
Threads.
2024.
Yeah, the Nintendogs is exclusive to Threads right now. Yes, and then to our Discord chat.
Is that what you call where the stylus went in the 3DS? Yeah, you liked that? All right, I did it.
Like Jeffy, like me.
All right, we did it. Very good. It felt good coming out.
Yes, I could tell you were like, I got this one.
So I know exactly what the Nintendo is.
Oh, shit, that's good. From Chrono Rig. Hey, dogs, now that Nintendo acknowledged the Switch 2, can companies at least also acknowledge their future games are going to the successor? Yeah, they will. I mean, Nintendo has acknowledged the thing. You know what works better if you have a little bit of patience? Like, maybe you get to get in that Nintendo Direct, or maybe you get to be featured in the Nintendo sizzle reel, and it feels like there's a better chance of doing that if it's a surprise, so it has more of a hit and you save it. So I think these companies are like playing the long game, playing the waiting game, and some will do it. Some of these publishers will be like, we're fucking making a game for the next Nintendo system. That's happening. Of course we are. But I think most are like, hey, if we can get on Nintendo's good side, that has its benefits, because we've talked about this on this show a bunch of times. You can, if you're like a third-party publisher, you could talk to the Xbox audience or the PlayStation audience pretty easily. If you want to talk to the Nintendo audience, you kind of need Nintendo to do that. The Nintendo Direct is the best way to accomplish that. Yes, on their terms. Let's see here. R-Truth says, hey, Mike, what's up? I'm a big fan of yours and all the energy and positivity you bring. Sorry about the X-Cast, though. What the hell's a snow bike?
If you feel me, stand up and say what's up. Thank you, R-Truth.
love you, R-Truth.
Don't worry about snow bikes. Don't worry your pretty little head.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to get upset. From Hitch, God of War Rag, PC port. Is it real? I thought Last of Us Part 2 was next. Hey, why not both at a certain point, right? Like, I think if Sony has a big gap this year in terms of releases, it wouldn't surprise me if both these things launch on PC this year. But yeah, it's probably real. I wouldn't be surprised if that's how it goes down. You're gonna play these games if they come to PC, Mike?
No, I think I did everything I wanted to do in God of War or Ragnarok, and look, I don't need to drag on Last of Us Part 2 again. Although sometimes I begin to resent Last of Us more and more. I unfairly place some of the current blame. I place some of the blame of our current predicament on that series. It's not fair.
Yeah, but not too wrong either.
But also, it's like, oh, we really chased that dragon a little hard, didn't we?
Yes, we did. All right, let's see where we at here with the Uncharted Wolf, who says, do you all ever think we get mainline Pokemon games on Nintendo Switch Online, or do you think the Pokemon Company purposely prevents that from happening?
There's a lot of weird factors there with that, where I think Nintendo would rather remake those games its own to people. I think a lot of the fans would have an expectation of, if you're going to do that, you're going to put Pokemon like Blue and Red on my NSO, there better be a way for me to get those Pokemon out of there. So you either have to develop another weird Pokemon bank thing or have compatibility with whatever the current thing is. I don't even know. And can you really do that with NSO games? So far, none of them really have any new things or new functionality like that. It was kind of like when they did do it on 3DS, they did do that stuff because those were individual things you purchased. It was a little bit different. I think it just doesn't happen.
I think Mike's got it. Yep. Mr. Jeldy says, I will not buy another Pokemon until I hear it is good. The community mod Radical Red seems like the game fans have been asking for in the meantime. Yeah, that's
Radical
the thing.
Red.
That's the thing about the Pokemon community is there's enough people in it that they might just do it themselves a lot of times and make the game you want to play.
They have been doing it themselves, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Brandon Lewis says Chrono Trigger, which I agree. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, probably we were talking about 16-bit. Yeah, again, it'll be weird if just nothing is done with Chrono Trigger. Remake, collection, not a collection. You already have Chrono Cross, but something new. I remember when everyone was freaking out, probably 15 years ago now, probably 20 years ago, when that Chrono Break trademark was filed by Square Enix, and nothing ever came of that. Gosh, do something.
Do you worry about, Akira Toriyama has passed away, so it won't be the same? It's like, clearly you do homage art to him, right? Like this.
Well, Chrono Cross did not have Akira Toriyama art. I would prefer that they kind of do make it look more like that, because I did prefer the look.
Yeah, do what you got to do, pay the estate. I mean, I guess I don't know how it works in Japan.
I mean, let's see what Dragon Quest does, I guess. I imagine 12, there's already some design stuff from him, but what are they going to do moving forward? I mean, okay, there was a point where Final Fantasy did cycle through things like, okay, now we have different character designers and directors and composers and all that stuff. It's just like,
what's that artist's name? The Final Fantasy artist?
Yeah, Toriyama, is that right?
No, that's the
That's the one we were just talking about.
Matsuno or something like that. I don't know.
Amano.
Yes,
I had to go look at it. It was also an A, is why I got confused.
Right.
Yes. Amano. Very striking, incredible art. Never actually translated into the game very often.
It felt like it would. The only time you would is maybe if it was the boss portrait, when the boss was fully realized or something.
Yeah, like Kefka is a background layer.
Yes.
As a boss. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. Take advantage of Mode 7. Yeah.
I will say this also though, I know Final Fantasy, they're well, we can't be turn-based because that's niche, and how's that been going? But with the Chrono game, that should be turn-based, okay? Let's not get cute there.
Yep, just make it that game. Let's see. Simon McKinley Esty says, been listening to you guys for years, so I wanted to say thanks for the hours of entertainment. Mike put this towards a new wrist, and that is their first super chat. Thank you so much, Simon.
Thank you. Oh, should I fake wrist pain for money?
Yes.
That'd be good for
always.
us. Yes.
Yeah, that's really good for us.
It hurts so much. If only I could afford a new wrist. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mine has started to feel a lot better, and then last night I was just getting off the bed weird, and it hurts so bad. I'm like, oh no, I hope this isn't just a pain that's going to reoccur for the rest of my life. But I'm at that age where it's likely. L. Grug says, hey, Jeff, 5th overall pick, Grubb, and Mike, my bones are dying, Minotti. Yeah. How do you think the Square Enix news affects Team Asano and Octopath 3 win? They probably aren't going back to the Octopath well again too soon, right? You take that idea and you play on it and do something new at this point, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what you do with Team Asano. I don't know if Bravely Default 2 set the world on fire, right? Even I, a Bravely guy, kind of wasn't into it. To be honest, I think that they are about to work on a remake of something, is what I think is maybe going to happen. But otherwise, they could do something kind of newish again, like Triangle Strategy. I don't know what else they go for. But, the Live a Live remake, that was great. I bet the return on investment of that for what it costs was probably pretty good. Now, I don't know if you just straight up say, hey, you guys, if somebody is going to do the HD 2D Chrono Trigger, though, it should be them, I guess. But there are also other things that they could do.
They could do? Make a Super Mario RPG with Gino and Mallow.
You know what? That'd be nice. Hey, talking about Nintendo helping Square Enix. Hey, why don't you two just work together again?
Do that
Bring
again.
Those characters back. I mean, Mario RPG sold very well when they did that remake.
Yep.
So.
Okay, let's see here. Oyazumi Mex says, any chance we get the way to play older Dragon Quest games on modern platforms with this initiative? As always, love the show. Thank you so much, Mex.
Yeah,
maybe.
We have the mobile versions of 1, 2, and 3 on Switch, and they're not great. They're not I played through that way and mostly had a good time. It wasn't the prettiest experience in the world, but it worked. We're getting the HD 2D version of that. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 are all on 3DS, so not on Switch at all. 9 has never gotten any kind of remake or re-release since it came out on the DS. Something there would be good. They're making that offline version of 10, and then 11 is on Switch. So there's a big gap of ones that did have 3DS versions, or actually even DS versions, I think, for 4, 5, and 6, not 3DS, excuse me. So there's a lot of those in that DS and 3DS generation. They're kind of stuck there at
any chance
moment.
They could do pixel remaster for Dragon Quest and then pixel remaster for the remaining Square Enix Super Nintendo games or something like that? Any desire for that even?
What do you mean by the remaining Square Enix?
For first, I mean the Dragon Quest games, but then, like there are some Super Nintendo games that aren't Final Fantasy or
like your Bahamut.
Sure, exactly. Just maybe expand that franchise a little bit.
Maybe you go a little further. There's plenty of stuff to do with Dragon Quest.
They're doing a Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D, yes. Jazz.
Right, and people like 4, so we can do that. People really like 5, may as well do that. 6 people are cooler on. But look, if 3 hits, you may as well just immediately move on to 4 and then 5 is what you do.
Okay, good point. Let's see. Big Fresh 37 says, "What did you guys think of the trailer for the news Ridge Racer that unlocked after you finished Captain Toad? Are you excited for the game?"
Whoa! I need to start playing that right now. I had no idea.
Cancel the show, everybody.
Wow. It's just like when I had to complete Jiminy's Journal in Kingdom Hearts 2 to get that Birth by Sleep teaser trailer.
I did start a Switch game this week. You know what I started?
What?
Endless Ocean. I bought Endless Ocean.
How's that?
It's kind of bad and kind of relaxing. I don't know.
I can see that.
You know what I really
can't be relaxing.
What I really wish is that there was it was just like on Nintendo Switch Online, because it has like that 32 player online mode. And it would be fun to like just be like, hey, everyone in Discord, let's go play Endless Ocean and swim around for a bunch of time like a bunch of idiots. But
do you think you think they've had a 32 player lobby yet?
I think that they are planning a big influencer stream that is going to be that, and I think it'll be the only time that ever actually happens. So yeah. Let's see here from Nintenderic. Jeff, thank you for making me realize how gamers don't know what the word speculation means. I was amazed by the Sly reaction. I really enjoyed the video and hope you make more like that. Yeah, tell you what, it's like so many times touching the rail and getting electrocuted. It is like kind of discouraging sometime. But no, I'm going to keep making videos like that. I will.
And at least this time you were so like anybody who looked at the video was like, oh, wow, he was really adamant that he was just speculating. Please don't write about this. Yeah. And it happened anyways.
Yeah.
I hope people do get a Sly Cooper now. Just out of spite.
I know, right? That would be nice.
Wouldn't be Sucker Punch probably, but I hope they get one now.
Yep. I hope so. That'd be great.
Yeah,
but
Sucker Punch didn't do that PS3 one. That I don't know if people liked that one, but there was a Sly Cooper.
And Jason came out and was like, because of this, and was like, they're a one team studio, which is something we've heard for years now, and it's like, but man,
one project studio.
One project studio. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, most people are if you're not an insomniac.
Yes. All right. Did I do burrito? Hey guys, this is not Nintendogs, but I appreciate your shout of dissent during your demo derby today. I owned a sealed copy of it and think about it every day. Still an amazing game. Yeah, I think about Dissent a lot. It takes up quite a bit of space in my brain.
Must be something about being around that 40 age.
Yes.
Think about. I bet.
It was a huge marketing campaign, right?
It was a big deal because it was still pretty early on in that computer shooter space, and it was the free flying one, right? So it was like, it was kind of trippy and weird and fun, and the aesthetic and the vibe of the set was cool. It's also very stuck in its time, right? Like there was never an attempt like we got to bring Descent back.
No, too many people got motion sick. Like it's not even worth it. Yeah,
I think
not gonna happen.
I think that game is on Steam. Descent.
Yeah, it might be.
I bet it's on Steam. Sure. It'd be cool if like Night Dive got to Descent eventually.
I would appreciate that too. You guys should go watch that demo derby. It's up on Giant Bomb now. It was a lot of fun. Brono Trigger says, hey bros, I really like Chrono Trigger. I would like an HD 2D remake and or a new entry that is less serious than Chrono Cross. Please tell Square Enix. Thanks. Yeah, we'll do our best.
Yeah. The Chrono Cross did take itself pretty seriously, and I wasn't a giant fan of the whatever it was, like giant roster size, and none of them really are relevant to the story except for like the 3 people who do matter. So I like that didn't do anything for me as opposed to the really intimate, but like very well-rounded party that you got in Chrono Trigger. Oh, weren't you talking about how you like Cave Woman recently?
I am. I do. Yes.
There's one of those in Chrono Trigger.
All right, I'm gonna play that game.
Oh yeah, she's a party member. She's great.
All right, I'm making it happen. Wes Diedrich says
she's a mommy.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes.
Not like really, but like more.
That's more important. Definitely.
Or like a muscle mommy, I think.
Hell yes, muscle mommy, cave woman. Oh, you're speaking my language.
Yeah, you'll like her.
Wes Diedrich says, here's my pitch to fix Square Enix's woes: a new universe combining the worlds of Dragon Quest with the worlds of Looney Tunes.
Not what I was expecting.
Me neither, but I like it.
Yeah, maybe Warner Brothers will finish it and then refuse to release it for a tax
Yeah,
write-off.
there you
That'd
go.
be nice.
Fantastic. And then Annie for Prez says, Square Enix, I want smaller games made with smaller budgets, with shitty graphics, shorter release schedules, and I'm not kidding. I believe you, Annie for Prez. Absolutely.
Like, there are going to be some people who are going to have to, like, hey, we need to just make some, like, slightly scaled back games, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can't always just say, well, we have to make bigger bets or else it's a waste of our time. At a certain point, you still got to make something that just makes more money than it costs. And there is an upper limit to that for most games, I think. So, yeah, they just got to figure that out. All right, Mike, that does it for the super chats. Back to you.
All right, we're also opening the mailbag today. We are being good dogs and chasing that evil mailman. I think Jeff's got a good bite on the bag right now. He's ripping through. Got a whole. Okay, I'm catching the letters. All right, we got enough letters now. You can let the mailman go. Thank you so much.
Bye, Sinbad.
Good dog.
It was the mailman was Sinbad.
Yeah, I get from Jingle All the Way.
Of course.
Cryorsis says, hey, Rebel Mooner Gooner and Kroger mascot. Wanted to surprise my carb-obsessed 5-year-old son with a new game for a Switch. And all I can think of was Cruisin' Blast due to every end of last Nintendogs cramming that game into my mind.
That's a good game for kids.
Yeah. Thanks for helping my son. Vincent found his new favorite game. Love you guys and keep up the great work. You're welcome. And now I want to know if your son is named Vincent after the Final Fantasy VII character.
It has
It's
to
a good
be.
game for kids.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of visual. It's a good game for kids and Jeff.
Yes.
Because of all the visual stimulation.
Guess who else likes it? Dan Riker. Yes. It's a roller coaster ride, and it's like a good kind of roller coaster ride where it's like there's a dinosaur and the whole world is literally cracking apart, and you're going to go down into an underworld cave that's gigantic, and you weren't expecting that, and it's really cool. And then eventually you play as a unicorn. It could do a barrel roll, and it looks really stupid. I really like that game.
Jamie H1224 says, do you think Square's new multi-platform strategy will extend to Nintendo's next console, or will it just get the quirky RPGs and Drag Quest games while missing out on mainline Final Fantasy games? Boppies 2 had a similar question. Wolf to my dogs. What's the possibility Square ports Final Fantasy VII Remake to Switch 2? And we kind of talked about this. I think that they have to get their big main games on Switch 2. And
16 for sure, right? That's like seems like it's definitely happening. I think the question with the remakes, right, is how militant is Sony going to be about that exclusivity?
Well, they said they're done with it, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
Sony,
but like the contracts are still there, right? I mean, I guess they have to have a time limit.
I always read conflicting things about these. I see some people say that contract was only for 6 months. They could be on Xbox right now if they wanted to with Remake. I don't know if that's true.
I'm sure I'm almost positive that had to get re-upped when they did Part 2, when they did Rebirth.
Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, so then Square or Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 Rejuvenated comes out, and that's on everything, we think, at this point, right? That has to be. That's what they said.
Yeah, I mean, you wanted to. And I mean, how do you like one of the big problems with like Rebirth is like, well, only so many people played Remake. Well, if you want 3 to sell better, you have to make sure a lot more people play Remake and Rebirth. And putting it on the new Switch is certainly going to at least help there. I don't know if it's enough to solve that problem. Yeah, but it would certainly help.
Yeah, I bet they figure it out, and that this stuff does come to Switch. And at the very least, maybe you put it out as one big package and call it something else, and maybe that solves the problem for you. I don't know.
And then Toshi says, how has Square Enix not made a Chrono Trigger remake or HD 2D release yet? Obviously, they won't do a Final Fantasy VII remake budget. Remake, but a Chrono Trigger remake launching with Switch 2 feels like the kind of tentpole release you can hang your hat on. So I think Chrono Trigger has to be part of their new strategy, right? Also, is the Final Fantasy Tactics remake going to be the one NVIDIA leak game to never surface? Yeah, maybe that and Final Fantasy 9. Let me ask you about that first. What do you think is going on with Tactics, Final Fantasy 9? Just 2 games never actually announced, just 2 games in that NVIDIA leak where everything else from it pretty much so far has surfaced.
I mean, if they're canceling those games, they've lost their mind. So I'm operating under the assumption that, yeah, those are still coming. They've been working on for a long time, and they're just not quite ready yet. And once they are, they'll get announced and come out. And that seems like a good thing, maybe for this holiday. At least one of those 2.
Or you think there's a chance that one of those two could be some kind of Switch 2 launch window game, and that's why we haven't heard about them yet?
Maybe. I wonder if Square Enix has the wherewithal to realize that if you are there on day one on a Switch 2, you're going to sell very well. Or if they'll just look at big number big, Switch big, go with Switch, which they're not wrong about that either. It would do very well if it was on the Switch 1. But you're right. I think if it's there day one on Switch 2, like one of those games, they could crush. I think especially Tactics. Tactics is like the secondary game that people get with whatever else they get, like the big Mario game. And then I'm getting Tactics. I can't wait to play that. That's when I'll play when I'm done with Mario. That sounds like a peanut butter and jelly situation.
Yeah, remember all those people getting Bomberman R with the Switch 1 because they're just kind of desperate for a second game? Like, I think those people would be a lot of those people would be a lot happier if their second game was Final Fantasy Tactics or Final Fantasy 9.
One of my favorite things in gaming is sequels that only exist because a game was a launch game.
Everybody went to Switch and Bomberman R2.
Yes, and what is the Red Steel 2? Like, yeah,
Red Steel 2.
Yeah. For real. The Mount Rushmore. We almost have the Mount Rushmore there of those games.
Yeah, I mean, Puyo Puyo Tetris was actually pretty good in launch window, but we still had a sequel that I don't know if that was entirely necessary.
Exactly.
I don't know if we needed another one. I did like it.
Oh,
but
these
sure,
companies.
go do it again. Then Chrono Trigger, we talked about that. They would be insane if there's not something Chrono Trigger in the next few years happening. Gobbledygooker says, with the recent news of Square Enix Collective getting reshuffled and Private Division seemingly getting downsized, what is the expectation for EA Originals going forward? Is there space for the cool games they publish? I mean, they got a Game of the Year winner out of EA Originals.
That game sold 7 million copies. I think since then it's sold even more.
It was a giant hit. So you would think that alone.
What is that game? That's so strange to me. This co-op game, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how It Takes Two sells more than Final Fantasy VII Remake. Even being on more platforms.
What is going on?
I'm sorry. With all the platforms, I know it wasn't like a $60 game, probably.
Sure.
Even still. Wow.
Yep.
Okay. I don't know how it's doing Luigi's Mansion 3 numbers.
Listen, I don't think EA Originals is somehow guaranteed to exist a couple years from now, but I don't think it's necessarily in a huge amount of trouble. Tales of Kinzera was the most recent release there, and I think it did okay. I think it did all right.
Yeah, I think expectations had to be in check I think
they have their expectations in check. I hope that continues to be the case. And I think they know they can make something like an It Takes Two happen. It's just, that's going to happen once every, 5 or 6 years.
Willow Davis says, don't worry, guys. You still have 40 hours left to save 50% on the Dark Souls franchise on Steam. Give my regards to Ornstein and Smog. I probably should do this. I somehow have never played.
If you stream Dark Souls, that's going to do numbers.
It would do well. Part of me is like, is this as low as these games go? 50%? I shouldn't be waiting for something ridiculous in a fall sale or something.
50% off for these older games. Right? How much that's got to be like?
I think what Dark Souls 1, because it's remastered, is normally $40, so now it's like $20.
Okay, 20 is a bit much, but yeah.
20 is a bit much still for a game that I'm not going to play now.
Right.
Part of me's I could maybe wait, but maybe I'm waiting for nothing.
Yeah, you can do one of those Steam price trackers and see.
Some NC in chat saying they don't normally go for less than 50%.
Yeah. This is the games, Mike. Just buy the games.
Well, I wouldn't buy. Look, I'll be clear. I'm not gonna buy all of them. I'd buy one.
Just buy all of them.
This is on my current maybe this is what I play right now backlist. I think still number 1 is Earthbound, and then it's Chrono Trigger, and then it's Dark Souls,
and then Captain Toad,
and then Captain Toad. Of course. Well, that's number 0. That's starred. I basically started that game in my brain already.
Jedi Moss 4 says, what are the odds that Hades 2 is going to be a Switch 2 launch game?
Very good, I think.
Yeah?
Yes.
Interesting.
Because the Hades one sold a ton on Switch. And the timing for what they're talking about is that it's definitely going to be in early access through the end of this year. And then if Switch 2 launches next year and 1.0 is ready to go, that will be a marriage made in heaven. It would crush as well. I think a lot of games are going to try to be ready for that launch window.
My one thing is just again, because I'm playing Haze 2, I'm man, this game seems pretty, there's a lot there. They really are going to be in early access for a whole year. And hey, maybe they are. Yeah, you know more about how these early access things go than I do.
So Hades 1 was in early access for about that amount of time. I think part of that is They know the game's going to sell just fine even before 1.0, and they just want to take their time. It's different for everyone, but I think this is how Supergiant is looking at it. Like, hey, we have this time. Let's take this time. Let's make sure it's perfect. And I think they just laid out their plan ahead of time, and they're going to stick to it.
Jeff, why don't we take one more break? We'll get back. We'll read the rest of the mailbag. We'll talk about any games we've been playing, any less super chats. How's that sound?
Fuck yeah.
All right, let's go.
All right,
And we could just get back to it.
Cool. I think I'm good.
let's go.
Okay. And we're back. Bench JC says, hey, dogs, do you think we get the Fire Emblem remake this year? I sure do.
Yeah, God, if it doesn't come out this year, what the hell is happening with that game?
Right. That's not something they're saving for Switch 2.
No, that doesn't make any sense. No way. Yeah.
No. Yeah. I mean, it's the Fire Emblem remake, and that's great. No, like that has, hey, this is something to fill out our calendar where we're kind of stalling time for Switch 2. It has that written all over it.
Yep, I agree. I think we get it this year.
I'd be shocked if we didn't see it at Direct. I don't know anything.
No, yeah.
Like,
but it feels like the
be
safest
very
bet.
surprised.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Like Dylan says, do all Nintendogs go to heaven? No, Jeff's going to hell.
Yeah, I mean, I think that goes without saying. I agree.
I like putting good with for him, like maybe like after I don't know, like that's eternity, right? You think like after maybe 5 billion years,
yeah, but I'll meet with my parole officer and maybe I'll find out that you helped me out. Yeah,
that's like that 5 minutes. Like, hey, look, 5 million years is a long time for the metal prod and the sodomizing and the heat and like, come on.
I'm gonna miss the
bad.
sodomizing though. I'm gonna miss it.
He feels very bad about the space dust vows. It's okay. Velocity Prime Blood says, happy Tuesday to the dogs. There's been much discussion about what series made the best transition from 2D to 3D. But what I want to ask you is what series made the best transition from SD to HD? I think no, because that wouldn't be Prince of Persia. That was still technically SD.
Yeah.
We went from Prince of Persia 3D to Sands of Time.
Sands of Time, and I was just thinking of like Resident Evil to Resident Evil 4. Nope, same thing.
Right.
SD to HD. God. All right.
That is interesting. Like I'm trying to like think what could even qualify there. GTA, GTA had a bit of a boost. Zelda, I don't know. I like Wind Waker more than maybe not the HD games. I guess that's a good point. No, not Metal Gear, because like Metal Gear 1 and 2 and 3 were SD still. So, okay. Kevin with Red Dead Revolver is kind of pretty good.
Oh, wow. Pulling out I was thinking Red Dead. I'm like, no, Red Dead was HD. Oh, no, yeah, Revolver. Wow.
Yeah, so that might actually...
Man, that's a game I almost never think about as Red Dead Revolver.
By Capcom.
Yes, by Capcom. Right. What a fucking weird thing.
I still don't even really understand how that happened.
I should go watch a video. Someone's probably explained this.
I still understand how we got a game called Red Dead Revolver from Capcom, and then suddenly that turned into Rockstar, the Grand Theft Auto people's other franchise.
Yep, it's weird.
I don't know how we got there.
I'm gonna think about this SD to HD thing a little bit more, but I don't have a good answer.
Right, because I'm seeing a lot of things in chat where it's like they're both good.
Yes,
like God of War, Zelda, Kingdom Hearts. Like I think they were good on SD and they were good on HD. Honestly, Doom's an interesting one. Uncharted Wolf. Like, yeah, I think Doom 2016 is better than Doom 3, but I think Doom 3 is not some terrible game,
right?
Necessarily. So yeah. That's an interesting question.
Madden NFL 2004 too.
Screaming Madden will like that one at least. Next one here is from Sludge Reinhold. This is woof woof. I could be wrong about this, but it seems like there's a substantial portion of the gamer community (parentheses derogatory) that ranges from resistant to downright hostile to the idea of developers reusing assets across games. I think criticism is leveled at Tears of the Kingdom for not being new enough and having the same map, Pokemon games on Switch for using models from older games, even Elden Ring for using attack animations from Dark Souls 3. Obviously, studios are always going to reuse the thing they made previously to some amount. It would be cost and time prohibitive not to, but do gamer expectations to new stuff feed into increasingly longer, more expensive dev cycles? How could this culture shift to be more accepting of recycled content in favor of quicker and more cost-effective game releases? So part of that is just idiots.
Yeah. They're like, well, this is a different set of $60, so the whole game has to be different.
And a lot
It's
of
like,
it
you
always
don't
comes
want
from
that.
bad,
Be honest.
a lot of it comes from bad faith. Like remember, like people when like the Kratos pushing a boat into the river animation, and Ragnarok was the same as in the last God of War, and like a lot of like some Xbox fanboys were trying to like prod people on that, and PlayStation will do it back at them for something. And it's all very stupid. It's all in bad faith. Like no one actually cares about it. Of course, it would be insane.
Yeah, but I think there are some people that when they like hear that, there is some sort of like primordial response, like, no, this is a new game. I don't think they're doing it because they think the devs are lazy, but I think that is where like they start that when they start thinking about it a little bit, they're like, no, don't be lazy, make new stuff for me. And I think it just comes from being unaware of how game development works and not realizing that you don't really want that. You don't want them spending time changing something up just to change it. And if we kind of went back to the way gaming used to work, where it's like, hey, it's guys in a garage, it's people in a garage just making games. Them doing that would be like, no, that's a great way to save time. So you can work on wholly new stuff that has nothing to do with the stuff you've done before, and that would be a good thing. But I get this Sludge Reinhold is right that this is a reaction that some people do have, and I wish they wouldn't. It's not really the right way to think about it.
I don't think developers take that to heart. At least I hope they don't. Right? Like I hope when they make like a God of War 3, they're like, well, we have to make every animation new now or whatever. It'd be insane.
Yep.
I heard in a GDC talk a dev saying like there's so many ways to reload a motherfucking gun or some shit like that. It's like, yeah, it's also that. Like people like characters.
Right, exactly. Like what do you want what do you want him to do? Like how many swinging animations does Spider-Man need? He's got a lot already.
He's got a lot already. Yep.
I don't know how many more you need.
I don't need Kratos inventing new ways to get into a boat. Like,
but it's also smart because you would never know that unless some person on Twitter put them side by side for you. You would never know. Of course not.
Of course not.
Bugadillo says, with studios continuing to move to longer and longer dev cycles, how does that affect job advancement within studios? I imagine it's harder for younger, newer talent to get a shot to head projects when there's only 1 and 2 games from big studios every decade. Yeah, it's rough because I mean, maybe this is wrong, but I imagine that generally they want you to have the same position on a game. So I don't know how many people are getting promoted mid-game into the roles. That happens, obviously, usually when other people quit and there's like a vacuum that needs to be filled up. I mean, just in general, it's an interesting problem because now like one person, it's one thing when a studio had to be like, what? Oh, we have to make an Avengers live service game? Okay. Oh, that's going to be 7 years of my life now, right? It's this giant ask. And then, like the game's like not great. And it's this whole thing of like, well, that was 7 years of my life and no one liked it. That's exciting. And also I didn't get promoted and then I was fired. There's a lot of problems.
Yeah. I mean, the truth is, it's like, it's always been bad trying to move up within studios because it's a difficult thing in general because there was never that many projects and there's only so high you can go. And so this was a problem before, and it's worse now. You're right.
And then Wiesman says, hey, yo, doggos, seeing the Windows 98 treatment on this week's demo derby really took me to a specific place in my middle school library downloading fonts online. Y'all like a good font? Do you still have or use any custom fonts? Oh, yeah. I still go to 1001 fonts quite often. I fiddle around in Photoshop and things like that. So I love looking around at fonts. I used to do web comics for fun, stuff like that. And so, always looking around for fonts for those things and like what was good comic fonts for dialogue or for titles and all that stuff. Yeah, fonts are great. Fonts rule. I should make a font.
That's a fun hobby.
Let's make the Game Master Giant Bomb font.
God, Mike getting into typefaces would be a really good turn for him, I think. I like to see a font and like, this is cool. And then taking it to one of those websites that can identify it, and then like going to the darker places on the internet to like download it illegally, and then using it in Photoshop and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a good time right there. I use
not for commercial use,
of course not, just for my own personal needs. I have needs, Mike, and these fonts are the only things that can meet those needs. I have Amazon Ember font, though, like the default Amazon store installed on my computer for reasons I can't explain why, but I do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good to know. Next one is from Octo. Says, dear Windossi boys, sure feels like closing these studios was a big PR hit for Xbox and a morale hit for their entire studio roster. Do you think the scale caught them off guard? Just the cost of doing business? Are there execs in a room somewhere yelling, I fucking told you this was going to happen? To my untrained eye, I feel like the cost of closing these studios is larger than the money cost of keeping them open. Love you all. Have a great one.
Yeah, I think this is a calculation that they probably tried to predict, and they definitely knew there would be backlash. I don't know if they knew it would be this big, but they had to understand the possibility, the potential for a backlash this big was there. They've been through this rodeo before of disappointing or upsetting fans and getting them all mad. But I think, they would probably be like, where was this fervor when we released these games? Why weren't you all just there buying them? But that's just not how it works. It's people did play them. 3 million people played Hi-Fi Rush. It was just on Game Pass. So, they can only get so righteous about that.
Right. It's like, there's so many mixed signals there. It's like, oh, so you want us to have Game Pass and play games on Game Pass. So people play Hi-Fi Rush on Game Pass. And then it's like, well, not enough people bought Hi-Fi Rush. So it's like, yeah, well, because we played it on Game Pass.
Yeah, and it was great on there.
New people bought Game Pass. Like, well, I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah.
Like, there's only one of me. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Villain Max says, what's up, my beef and cheddar boys? The industry trend is to launch day one on PC and all platforms. Do you think GTA 6 launching on consoles only is a mistake? Or could it be the game to save the console industry?
That's an exception. There are no rules for GTA 6. In no world will it be a mistake, but maybe they think could have been a little bit more of a benefit if they launched on PC day one. The thing is, this is a different world, but look back to GTA 5, launched on Xbox 360 and PS3, then on Xbox One and PS4, and then that was a year later, and then another year later launched on PC. They did something similar with Red Dead Redemption 2, right? Where it was like on console and then a year later on PC.
Yeah, that's right, I believe.
And basically each time it was like a whole new launch, and it felt like a chance for that game to get another go around. I think it bumped its sales across all platforms. So it's worked for them in the recent history. They're going to replicate that, and it'll probably be just fine for GTA 6.
JD Camp says, will the Switch 2 have the metaverse? Get it? Like metaverse, but with Mii's. Look, I don't want Mii's involved anymore. I'm over Mii's, but I sure do. If they had something like the Miiverse, I don't. Part of me is, can you really replicate that?
I really want the Miiverse back in some way. Okay, so I was on Xbox 2+1 with Rand and Jez today, and go subscribe to their Patreon so you can listen to it early. But one thing they did mention is that there will be sort of like this social network across all these games from Xbox, no matter what platform you're on. Like when you press the Xbox button or press the menu button, it'll bring up that connective social network. It's like, okay, that's fine. I don't know how much that's going to really move people, but it does make me really pine for the Miiverse in a lot of ways. So someone's doing the Miiverse. It's just a Microsoft verse.
I feel bad. I keep trying to do that show with them. They were nice enough to invite me, but
I mentioned them like he is still actually the busiest person I know for the next month and a half. So yeah,
which is weird.
Yeah,
I used to pride myself on not being busy.
Yeah, you fucked up somewhere, Mike. I don't know what to tell you, man.
God damn it! You shouldn't have retweeted my tweets all those times I asked you to. Turbo Sean says, Jeff, I just realized that Mike didn't put N64 recompiled in the news because he doesn't know what those words means. Can you touch on for the people? I did forget about that. This is an interesting thing that is happening, but you can summarize this for us, Jeff.
Yes. Wise Guy is a person that works in that scene decompiling N64 games from their code so they could be read as like in C, so which is a common computer language, and then that means they can be ported to computers and all that fun stuff. Instead of doing this game by game, Wise Guy has built a tool that can basically decompile all of these games automatically. And then all you need to do is provide the N64 ROM, which is basically going to act as the asset set, like the collection of assets. And then it'll pull from the ROM, but then run natively on your PC. And they've already done this with a bunch of games, including Superman 64. So
that's incredible.
We can now play a PC version of 4K Superman 64.
And like, these games can now be like modded. You can do things like randomizers and whatnot. Oh boy, it's going to be exciting to see what comes of this. That's awesome.
This is really cool. I'm very excited about it.
It's also like, man, I hope like someday it's like, yeah, we did this for Saturn. We did this for Dreamcast.
Yes.
And we did this for, like this would kind of just be the solution to a lot of problems with preservation and playing a lot of these games, if that's the case. Yep.
And I think it's, I don't think Wise Guy said this, and I want to assume too much, but there was some speculation that maybe AI would make these sorts of projects a little bit easier because it's like they can help you read the code a little bit faster. Maybe that stuff does get a little bit more automated. But either way, there are people out there like Wise Guy that can make this happen. It's been proven. I hope you're right that we get this for all of those systems. And then if they're on the PC, they're just sort of like saved forever in a lot of ways.
Yeah, there you go. Beefhammer says, evening, Jeff has a pre-podcast ritual of watching two gorillas fighting to the death to pump himself up.
Yeah, it's my children.
Grubb. Yeah, and Mike, concerned about the number of gorillas that must die to satisfy Jeff's lust for podcasting with Naughty. Is it true that Dan Riker considers Sonic 06 to be better than any Nintendo game? If this is true, can we really trust any of his opinions?
We can't.
No, he likes Nintendo. That can't possibly be true.
He does like Nintendo. That is true.
But no way. You guys are being silly. You guys are being a bunch of silly, jokey jerks.
Maybe not. It's impossible to say.
Hey, Jeff, been playing any Nintendo games?
I've been playing games with my kids mostly. Like I mentioned, I did download and start Endless Ocean. I can't remember the subtitle even. And I think what threw me off is the early part of the game is the mission structures. It's like, swim over here and look at this thing. Great. That's the end of this mission. All right, let's go back to the menu and then choose another mission that's very similar to that. I'm like, what the? Just let me fucking swim in the ocean. Like, that's the whole idea. I thought this would be like, I could let Addie go free and explore the ocean. And maybe
you think this would be a more emergent game, huh?
Exactly. Yes. I think that would be ideal. At the very least, have a better first impression than like some weird stunted tutorial. But the swimming around, exploring the ocean is okay. It is relaxing enough. But you do notice it's like, yeah, this is a game that you do want to look 4K ray traced with spectral lighting and
exactly.
little flecks of things floating in the water that look ultra realistic and God rays. And this game is not that. Yeah, I want to see the little krill. Yes, it's really far from that. That said, Addie wouldn't notice, and she loves underwater creatures, so we're gonna play this together a little bit more, and that'll be fun.
Sounds fun. Christian wants us to take one more break. We'll take one more little break. We got a little bit more to talk about.
Yeah, we probably
we'll
have a couple more super chats to read.
We do not actually.
Oh, we don't? Okay.
Maybe you should work on that chat. No, it's fine. Thank you all so much.
His wrist. He needs a new one, everybody.
The pain!
Look what you've done to him. You know what? Maybe I don't want any more super chats because I don't think they love you.
Okay.
Just joking, everybody. Please, I'm joking. Please,
no, please, everybody. We really don't care. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Colt, I'm glad that you're liking that Lightyear Frontiers. It looked cool to me, and I still haven't touched it. I'm gonna check it out. The mech farming game.
Oh
Yeah, that game's pretty good. All right.
And we are back. Anything else you wanted to talk about, Jeff, except for the boring ocean game?
Not really. I mean, I do want to be playing my Switch more often, but the kids have fully taken it over, so it just is what it is.
I realized I could put these poker chips in my wrist brace.
You're gonna be a cheater?
Knock them out. No. Knock him out like I'm the sheriff of Nottingham in Disney's Robin Hood movie when he's like getting all the coins from like the poor, like the poor crippled beggars and whatnot. That's good stuff. I've been playing more Unicorn Overlord. I am getting close. I've like just passed hour 40.
Okay, I was gonna say because you were at 30 hours last time we talked about it. So you must be deep into that game. Okay, 40 hours.
Yeah. So I'm 40 hours. So I am beginning to see like the end is coming. Like I don't know if the level cap is 40. Well, the game kind of does a Breath of the Wild type thing. At least it seems to, where pretty early on you come to a point where it's the mission is titled Unicorn Overlord. It's a level 40 mission. You can access it when you're like level 5. And I even accidentally started one time and it just like played the cutscene like, okay, go kill the main bad guy. I was like, oh, I mean, I don't think this is even possible. I'm curious if they're like, our speedrunners like, well, here's how you beat the game with like level 5 people. I'm not even sure if it's mathematically a thing you can do, but you can at least attempt the mission. So I know that mission is level 40, and I assume it's the final mission, and like my characters are level 34, 35 now. Okay. And like, there's like the continents you have to save. I'm like halfway through the last one. So again, like it seems like I'm making some
end.
Pretty good progress. I see the end. I see the But yeah, I did take a little break though because I was playing Braid Anniversary Edition. I think I've talked before about how much I do like Braid, how much
big
I
fan.
just strongly associate that with that Xbox 360 era. I don't know why. I just thought it was so neat. You know, it like really signaled something to me about indie games and like, oh, that's what these are now. These are, you know, I kind of Jeff back. Oh, these are important now.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, yeah, but on the Exploding Barrel, I said this before, but I've always remembered like before that, indie games would come up. You're like, yeah, but that's not a real game.
Exactly.
And you were being facetious, but also that's how you felt, and then it did change at some point.
Right. Exactly.
Well, it would change with Braid, yeah.
Right, because I mean, there probably were other ones, but like, you know,
Sure.
a lot of it was stuff like, well, here's like the new Galaga, or like, you know, here's like another twin stick shooter.
Yeah.
And, you know, they'd be good, right? And like, obviously, Geometry Wars meant a lot to a lot of people, and I liked it, and I probably missed the boat by not playing it more. But yeah, something about Braid, I was like, oh, yeah, this is like as good as any game I'm going to play this year. And I've been wanting to play it again for a while. So just being able to play it again was great. But you know, the updates, the graphical and especially the audio ones, they're subtle but nice. And the game has this really extensive commentary mode that does teach you, or like, you know, it tells you what's going on there. There's even like interviews, basically, like Frank Cifaldi
Right.
is like interviewing Jonathan Blow in one of them, right, and asking him all of these questions and whatnot. By the way, I forget what I know we do. What did Blow do again? Why do we not like Blow again?
He's anti-trans. He is he's an online provocateur with like where he's always kind of shit posting about like conservative stuff. He's just kind of a rich old man now.
Weird, right.
Yeah, it's
so
weird, and he is
Yeah.
very weird about it. It's all of his likes are the people when the people dive into that stuff. I have not, but I've seen people like share screenshots. It is like a who's list of like the dumbest people. I think he's like kind of an Elon Mark a little bit.
Right.
Like, yeah, he sucks.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because it's like it's like you think somebody's like kind of pretentious and like, you know, like takes the art so seriously.
Does
You think it
Tai
would
Chi
swing
in the
in
park
that
at
direction.
GDC? Yeah, like he's like, yeah, you be more down to earth. No.
Yeah, it's weird. Gosh, I'm having a bad time with that kind of stuff. Freaking Moon Studios again recently too.
Yeah, and I know some people can't disconnect the art from the artist, but my thing is like, we do that all the time, like public domain. Like that's the whole idea of public domain. Eventually, this art belongs to everybody.
Right.
And what if we just sped up that process a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole thing, and it's difficult. And I mean, there's a I don't know. It bums me out about Ori. It bums me out a little bit here because, like, you know, and you're like that with The Witness. It's like, God, dude,
I am like that with The
a
Witness.
little bit more normal, man.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't care. I don't mind the pretentiousness or any
I don't mind it in The Witness. I really like the pretentiousness in The Witness.
Or even just like personally, you know, from him, like whatever, that's fine. But yeah, and just being weird on Twitter.com. And you know what? It's so easy to not be weird on Twitter. It's so easy to just go on there and like fucking post the Pikachu shocked face. That's something that your friend posts about the Aurora Borealis. That's fun. I don't know why you need more out of Twitter than that.
Yep.
Or weird.
Yep.
Mouse
sounds. That's what we're doing now? All right.
I bet I can out mouse sign you.
Yeah, I'm going to let you in this one.
You hear that?
I did.
These will be on the audio version.
If everyone wants their money back, just let me know. I'll see what I can do. Okay, now talk through that.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, we have a super chat. We have a couple of them just killing some time till somebody pays me, apparently. Would you like to read the last super chats?
Yes, I do. Let's see here. Jackson Tench says, just ordered the Famicom Switch controllers from Amazon Japan. Have the rest of my money. Feel better, Mike.
Thank you.
And good luck at SGF. Thank you so much, Jackson.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have too much like Famicom nostalgia. I'm a little bit spared there.
Yeah.
I like that color scheme a lot, to be honest, but like, you know, I have the NES controllers already from like back when, so I'm good.
The only one I really wanted ever was the N64 one, and I have that, and I'm happy with it. Jacob Bench says and this is different than Jackson Tench. The names are sometimes do conflate in my head, and I'm sorry, boys. Jacob Bench says Square wants to copy Capcom. Can they succeed? Hey, everybody wants to copy Capcom.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely what they're looking at. 100%. That's what they're talking about, and that all that those things that they were saying.
I'm sure they're looking at Resident Evil and wondering why is that growing and Final Fantasy isn't.
Yep, and that's like, well, Resident Evil is multi-platform, so let's do that. All right, good start.
Yeah.
A good start, but keep looking. There is more to it than that, and that doesn't mean you have to go make your own engine or something like that, but definitely have a grasp on your technology and be able to make these things quickly. Yeah,
they did. They made that Crystal engine for Final Fantasy 13, and it was this like amazing engine, and then like, oh, we're not gonna really use that again anymore because it's
whatever. Use Unreal. There's nothing wrong with Unreal. There really isn't.
It's fine. Just use Unreal. We're done great Kingdom Hearts and all this stuff.
Yep, Mr. Jeldy, there's nothing wrong with Ori. Ori is fine.
Ori's great. It's another thing.
It's the homeboy.
Ori's
Burrito.
one of my favorite games ever.
Yeah.
I got my music box still.
Oh yeah, me too. Well, my kids keep taking it from
And
me.
a lot of very talented and I bet good and normal people also worked on Ori, and these people don't deserve to have their work erased because of maybe a couple assets.
That's right. Burrito says, "Here's some money to buy your silence, Mike." Opposite ASMR. they want your mouth to stop making sounds. I think this is enough. $5. There you go. Okay, there it is. There's the silence. Well, I guess in that case, I'll wrap up this show. Mike, should I hit the button? You could just nod. All right, I'm hitting the button. There it is. There's the sweet sounds of racing games for you, everybody. That was last in the Nintendogs. Sometimes you know when you just recorded the worst podcast of all time.
Yeah.
Mike.
Pretty high
Okay,
up.
Mike. Okay. All right.
Stupid asshole.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
Are you doing? Is this 2 words, 1 word, or just? Okay, 2 words. That looks like a cliff. It looks like you're driving. Okay. You're some sort of race car driver. Okay. Second word. Racer. Racer. Okay. All right. First word. A cliff. Mountain hill.
Is that the edge of it?
Oh, Ridge Racer. Thanks for watching and listening, everybody. Mike's going to be gone for the next episode. We'll do our best.
The next 3. I'm going to be gone for 3 podcasts. Bye, everybody. I miss you.
Just 1 Nintendogs, I think. Bye.
No, 2.
2.
You're right, 1. You're right, 1.
Who knows? Bye.
2 decides, 1 Nintendogs. I beat it. Nobody actually did get the clip of me saying the thing about that sporting goods store, huh?
No, of course not. No. If I had it, we'd be playing it right now.
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes you know when you just record the worst podcast in history. No, I like dicks.